When a marriage ends, the emotional weight can make every decision feel impossible, and that's where mediation can make a meaningful difference. Today, we're talking with Leah Hill, a divorce mediator and the founder of Divorce Strategies Northwest. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi.
So this is going to be really interesting for people at home that have never maybe heard of a divorce mediator. So what does that mean?
Oh, well, it's a great question. People ask me all the time because it is confusing. It's confusing. Divorce mediation is where I work with both parties to come to an amicable agreement. It's people who really, they kind of know that something needs to end, or one party knows it needs to end, but they really don't want to go to war. And they don't want it to be so expensive. They don't want it to take a long time. And so they come to me and I help them understand their options and come to an agreement.
How do you help them through the divorce process then? Like when someone walks through that door, what's the first thing that you do?
Great question. I mean, it's a good question because there's so many facets to it. I really help them. First, I need to understand their situation specifically, and then we really talk through what they have in common, which sounds kind of funny, but really, when it really gets down to it, it turns out they have a lot more in common because they've built a life together, and I help them realize you have a lot more in common when I really talk with them than they realize. And then, so we get down and we realize, okay, so here's all the things you have in common, and then let's focus on the areas that we need to work through, and here's your options for how to resolve those.
Makes perfect sense. And so when you think about this, how is a mediator different than a traditional divorce attorney? Because that was a question I had when I knew you were coming on. And what are the biggest benefits to hiring you?
It's a question I get every day.
I bet.
Of course. It's true. I'm not an attorney. I work with a lot of attorneys because it is a legal process. So, what I work with the entire process. So because you really need, it's most beneficial really to be set up for success after you're divorced, because you're probably still going to see the person, especially if you have children together.
Definitely.
So I really set families up for success in the sense that we're working with how are you going to communicate after divorce? How are you going to share expenses, share decision making? How will you, it's all about tax consequences, and there's so many myths out there as far as people just have a lot of worries and concerns, and so the differentiators are, it's not just the legal process, it's very holistic. And so we kind of get people from A to Z and get the entire process and help them come to agreement, and then get it done in a much more efficient and kind of have both parties have buy-in, which really it really is a big predictor for success, so that they can actually work together on the other side of divorce.
It makes sense. Who tends to be the best fit? If anyone's watching and they're thinking like, am I a good fit for this? Who would that be?
Oh, I have so many people who I enjoy my work, and so it's hard for me to think. I guess
probably anyone that's willing to try, right?
Well, it's a good
conversation.
It's a good point. I'm thinking of a woman. She called me last week, and she had a question, just a quick question, and then she said, "I'm going to share with you." It was a little bit of a funny story. She had been petrified to go through the process. She was kind of even petrified to be even on a Zoom meeting with her husband at all. But they did not want to go to war. So they they went. She said, we're gonna do mediation, and they had agreed to that. So we got them through there. So we committed to mediation. We went through their options. We went through mediation. They got divorced, and they're
able to work
divorced.
together.
They're
And
able
that's
to work
what you
together.
want. You want everybody on the same page and butts in the seat. That's what someone said to me.
Well,
thank you so much too for your time. We
You're
so
welcome.
appreciate it. And for more information about Divorce Strategies Northwest and the mediation process, just visit divorcestrategiesnw.com right there. New Day Northwest is sponsored by Divorce Strategies Northwest.